All right, let's dive into a fun little puzzle, one that you might actually have sitting in your kitchen right now. It seems like a simple question, but trust me, the answer is way cooler than you'd think. Let's get right to it. Okay, so here it is, the big question. Which orange came first, the color or the fruit? You know, it's a classic chicken and egg problem. Did we see something orange, like a sunset, and then name the fruit after it? Or did the fruit show up and give us a name for a color we somehow didn't have a word for? The answer is the fruit. Yep, the fruit came first. And it's not even close. Not really a debate at all. But how that happened, well, that's where the story gets really good.
And I mean, we're not talking about a few years here. We're talking about hundreds of years. For centuries, the word orange existed for the fruit, but the actual word for the color, it just wasn't there. Which, when you think about it, brings up a really weird question, right? I mean, think about it. If you don't have a word for orange, what do you even call things that are that color? Like, how would you describe a campfire, or a carrot, or all those amazing autumn leaves? This is where things get kind of weird.
Well, the solution they came up with was practical, I guess, but definitely a little clumsy. See, people didn't just invent a new word out of thin air. They just smashed together two words they already knew. So things weren't orange, they were described as yellow-red. Or, you know, if you wanted to get fancy, maybe reddish-yellow. It works, but it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, does it?
Just let that sink in for a moment. A basic, fundamental color we see all the time just didn't have its own name in the English language. The color was obviously there, you could see it, but it was like it was invisible to the language itself.
So how did that finally change? Well, the answer wasn't dreamed up in some scholar's study or ordered by a king. Nope, the answer literally arrived on a boat. It was a fruit that had come on a very, very long journey.
And the word itself went on this incredible journey right alongside the fruit. It all started in Sanskrit, where the word was narangat. From there, it traveled through Persian and Arabic, getting tweaked a little bit at each stop, but it was always tied to that one specific fruit.
The big moment, the turning point, happens in the 14th century. That's when this sweet orange fruit and its name finally make their way to Europe. At first, it was this exotic, fancy thing, you know? But it was about to kick off a total revolution in the English language.
Okay, so you see where this is going, right? We've got all the pieces on the board. We have this color with no real name, and then this super popular new fruit shows up with a very specific name. I bet you can guess what happens next.
And here's the best part. It wasn't some big formal decision. It was just common sense. It's one of those things that's just totally obvious once you see it. People just started looking at this fruit and going, hey, you know that yellow-red color? That looks exactly like an orange.
And boom, just like that, problem solved. The fruit was so iconic, so distinct, that it just gave its name to the color. The word orange, for the color, officially entered the English language.
This really breaks it down perfectly. Before the 14th century, the fruit had a name, but the color didn't really have one of its own. After the 14th century, the fruit's name became the color's name, a major linguistic problem solved by a snack.
But hold on, we're not quite done yet. There's one final little twist to this story that makes orange really special and totally different from almost any other color out there.
So here's the kicker. Orange is a huge exception to the rule. Think about it. Take blueberries. The color blue was around for ages before we named that specific berry. But with orange, it's the complete opposite. The order is totally flipped. It's one of the very few major colors named after an object, and in this case, a food.
So that's the big takeaway. The next time you see an orange sunset, or a traffic cone, or even a goldfish, you can remember that the word you're using to describe it came from a piece of fruit. One of the most basic colors we see every day is literally named after a snack. How cool is that?